Happy Wednesday! It's the Prop Queen, Ariel Epstein. We are going up till 6 p.m. Eastern Time, getting you ready for today's slate of games in the NBA, in the NHL. We've got a bunch of games in the NBA tonight. NHL, shorter slate. We'll have more tomorrow, but we're going to be joined by Troy Perlowitz in the next 10 minutes, and he's going to break down tonight's card. We'll talk some NHL futures that you could still dive in on. And at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Coach James Young gonna bring the heat as he always does. He's got some hot takes and he's got some best bets. We've got props, we've got sides, we've got totals. We are ready for this slate tonight. And last night was pretty good. I was a little nervous, and I'll be honest. If you see my Pick It Sports page, where you can follow at Ariel Epstein, and at Pick It Sports, you can also sign up using promo code PropQueen. It's free. You would have seen that I didn't bet as much as normal last night. I was only betting half a unit. So normally I bet like 100 a prop. Yesterday I was betting like in the 50s. It's the NBA, and there's so many new variants that we don't know. But I'll tell you this. Kevin Durant's rebound prop of 4.5 yesterday was way too low. And it proved to be true as we hit that over with ease. Now, I'll get you the exact numbers. I kind of blanked. I was at the bar last night with my friend Dane Martinez, who I used to work at Sports Grid, and we were watching these games. We couldn't believe that this went to double overtime. The Thunder win 125-124. They were, 7.5-point favorites, OKC, last night at home? Yeah, well, double overtime. Kevin Durant, 9 rebounds last night. Steven Adams had 13. Alperen Şengün, a huge game, so thank you to Mr. Dreamy for talking about the Şengün big game last night, where he put up 39 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists, going over all of his PRA, PR, PA, points, rebounds, assists, everything. Şengün hit all the overs last night. But Kevin Durant, 23 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. I'm pretty sure his points prop was 23.5. So that was a crazy beat at 23. Another bad beat I had last night that I gave out here on the show, didn't actually bet it, but I did give it out here on the show and on the PropQueen.com newsletter, the long list. The SGA under. My brother ended up betting it. He was so pissed because if it ended in regulation, SGA would have gone under his points prop last night. He ended up with 35 after double overtime. 32.5 was the points prop, and he goes over just because of double OT, which is nuts. Some other props that stood out. Cason Wallace, everyone was on that rebound prop over, and it ended up hitting. It was 2.5. Everyone took the over. He had 7, so shout out to the public there. Aaron Wiggins, we gave that out under 11.5 points. That cashed at 10. Again, double OT was absolutely insane. So those are the props that I think we were pretty heavy on. Oh, and Ben Thompson too. I think his prop last night was 15.5, and he hit 18. So we ended up hitting that as well. So it was a really good game in Rockets Thunder for the show last night. As for the Lakers and the Warriors, I wasn't as confident in this game because we had no LeBron. Jimmy Butler was questionable, and he ended up playing for Golden State. The Warriors are the worst team to handicap in the NBA, at least one of them. Jimmy Butler went off 31 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Steph Curry did not go over his 5.5 assist prop. Pretty lame night for Steph, 23 points. 1 rebound and 4 assists. People like the pods over. That still didn't hit. I feel like no one can hit a pods over whenever you want to. Rui Hachimura sucked. I bet him over PRA last night, and he did not. He had 9 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. It was the big night for Austin Reeves, 26 points. So if you were catching the Dream segment, Mr. Dreamy won. He caught his segment last night. He gave out an SGP where we had Austin Reeves 18-plus points and Luka 25-plus points, and it got us to -1. I think it was -115. I bet it. You could have seen it on my Pickett page. We bet that SGP over, and it ended up cashing absolutely seamlessly. So thank you to Mr. Dream for saving my day yesterday. And DeAndre Ayton, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 0 assists. That's pretty terrible. The Luka rebound plus assists without LeBron maybe could be a play. But 43 points, obviously. He cashed all his overs last night. So Luka without LeBron, still doing pretty well. Last night, losing that SGA under, it's pretty crappy though. But we've got a lot today. And one big NFL headline, you guys know, Lamar is back. He is so back. I'm so happy because it was really annoying. There was actually, if you guys were on X today, there was a report that Lamar was, according to close sources to this report by Sleeper NFL, they said Lamar wasn't going to play this week. And shortly after, Lamar shows up to practice. And for people that don't know, Lamar doesn't normally practice on Wednesdays. He's always out on Wednesdays. So the fact he was practicing on a Wednesday is pretty good. Right now, the Ravens are -6.5 against the Chicago Bears. Earlier this week, that number, let me just get... Earlier this week, I snapshotted the lines on Sunday. And Lamar and the Ravens... So the Ravens were -5.5 on Sunday. So now they're -6.5. Wouldn't be surprised if this hits 7 when we confirm that Lamar is ready to go. They're being very discreet, Ravens head coach John Harbaugh. But again, for Lamar to be practicing on a Wednesday is pretty big for the Ravens. I'm going to go through just a few more lines in the NFL real quick that we could touch on. The Los Angeles Chargers for Thursday Night Football, that line went from Chargers -2.5 on Sunday to now Chargers -3.5, with the total on the rise, 43.5 to 44.5. The Panthers and Bills total dropped from 47.5 to 46.5. Jets Bengals, that went from Bengals -4.5 to Bengals -6.5, with the total dropping from 44.5 to 43.5. As I said, the Ravens line moved -1.5 to -5.5 to -6.5. Browns Patriots stayed 7. That stayed the same. Niners stayed the same against the Texans, but the total dropped from 43.5 to 41.5 in Niners Texans. Dolphins Falcons, that line stayed 7.5. Total dropped from 45.5 to 44.5. The Giants-Eagles rematch game, that is now moving from Eagles -7 to Eagles -7.5, with the total on the rise, 42.5 to 43.5 in Giants-Eagles. Bucs Saints. Bucs went from -4.5. Bucs were -6.5. They went to -4.5. Total drop 47.5 to 46.5. So a lot of love going to New Orleans. That could be the fishy line of the week. New Orleans Saints, 2-point line move in their favor. Bucs, no Mike Evans, collarbone broken. So that's an interesting one that we could get to later in the week. Just keep the Saints in mind for the fishy line. Titans, Colts. I can't believe the Colts are laying 14.5. That's just nuts. Total on the rise, 44.5 to 46.5 in Titans, Colts. Cowgirls, Broncos. That line moved Broncos -3 to -3.5. The total went up 3 points in Broncos Cowboys, 47.5 to 50.5. That's a Cowboys defense sucks. Broncos defense is good. Weird matchup. Green Bay Packers, that stayed 3. 43.5 was the total on Sunday. That Steelers-Packers game went up to 45.5. And lastly, the Commanders, who are going to be without their quarterback. That line went Kansas City -9.5 to now -11.5 for the Commanders quarterback being out this week. And the reports were indicating, and I could just pull up the exact reports real quick before we bring on Troy Perlowitz to talk NHL props for tonight. I did see, where was it? I saw an update. I know I saw the update when I was walking my dog earlier today, but now there's a lot of NBA updates going on. Where was the report that I saw? If you guys saw it, let me know. But I did see, gosh, what the hell? Oh, and then here's the Bucks. Todd Bowles told reporters Bucky Irving and Chris Godwin are out Sunday, and Mike Evans. So the bye is next week for Tampa Bay, so that kind of makes sense. Okay, Commanders Jaden Daniels hamstring injury expected to miss week 8 against the Chiefs. So yeah, that warranted a 2-point move against the Commanders and in favor of the Chiefs. And the Bucks are going to be without pretty much their entire receiving core again. So that's why you're seeing the line move in favor of New Orleans as well. Again, that's injury moves. So did it move too much? Are the Bucks just that much better than the Saints anyway that you should lay it with a bad number? Or can the Saints actually win that game? Spencer Rattler over passing yards? Oh, yeah. Anyway, it's just past 5:10, which means that we are late and we need to bring on our next guest because the NFL is not tonight. We've got Thursday Night Football tomorrow, but we don't care yet. I mean, you can care, but we're going to bring on for tonight, short slate in the NHL, but the best insights coming from NHL's NHL.com producer and researcher, Troy Perlowitz. I am so happy to have you on. I know Mark is happy to have you on. Joseph Rodriguez says we need picks. But okay, so we've got the insights coming over here from Troy Perlowitz. How you doing today?
I'm great. I don't want to go backwards, but last week before you had me on, you mentioned that Harbaugh could be out for Baltimore and that you'd be okay with that. Who are you replacing Harbaugh with? That would be
Everyone asked this question. That's not my job. My job is to say that the Ravens have not looked good and they haven't looked disciplined, and that starts from the top. And I am worried that the Ravens locker room doesn't care about what John Harbaugh has to say anymore.
Totally fair. I will just give you one perspective of look, I'm not qualified to talk about the NFL as well as you are, but I'm a Jets fan and I would fire everybody other than Vince Lombardi to get Harbaugh. So that's just my
I have a lot of Jets fan friends and Dolphins fan friends that have texted me that they will gladly take Harbaugh. Here's the thing. Harbaugh is not a bad head coach at all. I love John Harbaugh. I think I'm one of the last people to call for his job. I love him. There are times where it's just time to move on. You know, like sometimes it's just an organizational thing, something like sometimes the head coach just like you need a refresher. And I didn't like when the Ravens fired Brian Billick. I loved Brian Billick.
No question. I actually totally agree with you. And I'm coming from a sport in the NHL where the shelf life of coaches is really short. It seems like every coaching carousel has around 8 or 9 coaches every offseason that are fired and replaced. And it's right. I totally agree with you that there's sometimes that organizations just need a new voice, right? The players need a new voice in the locker room.
A little bit of a kick in the ass from somebody new.
Fair. I will say this. Lamar
Everyone's
Jackson.
saying injuries in the chat. Get out of here. The 49ers, the Vikings, they've got injuries too. Enough with the freaking injuries excuses.
Lamar Jackson's playing that game. He's playing against the Bears, right? It's not like a couple weeks ago, Jared Goff tore apart that defense.
It's the most ideal situation that Lamar gets the Bears. Run the football with Derrick Henry. Run.
I'm taking the over on his passing yards. That's what I'm saying. or that. Hand the rock off.
Listen, no more excuses. You're right. No more excuses. The Ravens get the Bears this weekend at home. They're coming off a bye. This was the plan all along, was to get through the bye. They knew the division is winnable. So we will see. But let's go into NHL props, Troy, because that's your bread and butter. We've got a short slate of games tonight. I do have your graphic here. So Nick Suzuki coming over from Montreal. They get Calgary tonight. Over 1.5 points is at plus 190. That's a nice price.
I love Nick Suzuki. Might be my favorite player just to watch. He's the captain of the Canadiens. He's coming off a career year. He plays on one of the top lines in the entire sport with Cole Caulfield and Juraj Slafkovsky. He leads the team in points. He leads them in assists. He's on a 6-game point streak and three multi-point games in that span. He's top 5 in points if you go back since January 1st of last year or January 1st of 2025. He's top 5 in points, which I think would surprise a lot of people. 1 point is probably there's not enough value on there, but I have a feeling against Calgary, a team that gives up a lot of goals, Suzuki can find the score sheet at least twice, if not more than that. And he's also a great player. He covers blocks. If that's a prop that you're interested in going for, he's a great forward to have for a prop. He's good for 1 or 2 blocks per game. He's really fun to watch, and I'll keep an eye on him tonight.
It's also been fun to watch the New Jersey Devils, who are in first place of the Metropolitan. I mean, I'm no hockey expert, but I know that the vibes are always more around the Rangers. And for the Devils to start the season as strong as they did, first off, how surprised are you? And second of all, why is this your anytime goal scorer?
I'm not surprised. The Devils are really strong.
Or was
They've
it
been
injuries last year that hurt them?
huge injuries last year. Losing Jack Hughes was horrible. They had lost Dougie Hamilton earlier in the year. Jacob Markstrom got hurt in the middle of the year. He came back, but he also looked a little bit shaky by the time he did come back. I really think injuries had a huge deal or a huge reason to why New Jersey didn't excel more in the playoffs than they did. They also had a tough first round matchup. Remember, they had to go against the Carolina Hurricanes that were really strong. Mm-hmm. So I'm not surprised that the Devils are off to a good start. The Metropolitan Division it's probably the weakest of the four in the NHL. And I really think Carolina and New Jersey are going to stem away from the field as the season goes on. They're obviously the two strongest teams in that division. New Jersey's offense is so good. Their top six forwards is probably one of the best in the game. Everyone knows Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt. My pick is Nico Hischier because he's coming. First of all, he generated 4 scoring chances. New Jersey beat Toronto yesterday, and Hischier generated 4 scoring chances by himself, and he didn't score. So I really like the bounce back appeal here. He plays on the power play. Everyone, again, gives Hughes and Hamilton and Bratt a lot of the attention. So Hischier's a big guy on the power play. He's also in front of that net on the power play where most goals are scored. So I really like him as an anytime goal scorer. They're playing the Minnesota Wild, who, as you know, maybe a little New York hangover because Minnesota was in New York. They played the Rangers on Monday night and got the big win. Maybe there's a little bit of New York hangover. Minnesota also has a great power play, not so good on the penalty kill. So that makes me like Hischier even more.
If I knew, I would have got some Minnesota players. I don't know anybody, but I'm just saying I could have told them to come out to the bar, got them all drunk and given them a real hangover so that you could hit this. But I mean, that's for another time, I guess. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding, by the way. The chat could take that seriously. I'm just kidding. I don't know anybody. I don't take athletes out. Buffalo Sabres, they are one of the worst teams in the NHL. Again, 2-4 to start the season. They are the second to worst team in the Atlantic. And yet you like one of their players, Zach Benson, to go over a half a point. How come you can bet this on one of the worst teams in the league?
So I kind of like these last 2 picks as a parlay. So Zach Benson has been filling in. Josh Norris was on the first line with Tage Thompson for the Buffalo Sabres early in the year. Josh Norris is a player who's battled injuries all his entire career. And Zach Benson, who was injured to start the year, but is now back, has been elevated to that top line to play with Tage Thompson. And he has 6 assists in 3 games. It's a really good trend. Zach Benson's really fast. He adds speed to that line. Tage Thompson is one of the best shooters in the NHL. Has one of the best hardest shot, and he shoots from everywhere. He's a really good volume shooter, and it's usually Zach Benson who's setting him up. So I really like over 1.5 or over a half a point for Benson. I like him to find the score sheet tonight. But on the other end of the ice, they're playing the Detroit Red Wings, who give up a lot of shots, and Buffalo, for all their trouble, they do generate their top 5 in rush chances, their top 10 in shots on goal. So I really like them to get a lot of shots tonight. So I like Gibson's over in terms of a saves. And if you play those 2 together, it could add to a little bit of value for you.
I love a saves prop just as much, if not more, than I like these shots on goal props. Sports Guru Vegas says he likes the Canadiens tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, Canadians, I've been on them at the start of the year. I really think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to end up in the top 3 in that Atlantic division. It's hard to go against the Stanley Cup champs, and I really like Tampa Bay. I really like what they did in the offseason. But Montreal, they're again, we talked about this last week. If you're good, we talk about you, or if you're young, we talk about you. But if you're both, it's really fun. And that's Montreal. They have some really young talent with Lane Hudson and Ivan Demidov and Nick Suzuki. Everyone thinks he's been around for a while, but he's only 26 years old. So I really like Montreal to make the playoffs. They're playing a Calgary team tonight. I really like I like Montreal. I like everything they're doing. The only question that Montreal, the big thing that they're going to have to face, they have their goaltending hasn't been as good. I still believe in Sam Montembeault as their goaltender. It's early in the season, so I'm not going to overreact, but he hasn't played very well. They have a really good backup who's going to play tonight, Jacob Dobbs. So let's watch for him, but I do like that pick tonight.
Who would you put on upset alert tonight?
Maybe I'd go with the Devils only because played last night, and maybe they're a little bit tired coming across the border back home. But
they're actually favored tonight, -126.
They're favored. So, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe Minnesota catches them off guard, and wins that game.
So you're saying sorry. So you're saying the Wild would upset the Devils?
Yeah, maybe the Devils are on upset alert.
Yeah.
I don't really. I wouldn't guess it. I'm gonna guess. I haven't checked the Sabres and Devils line in a while. I'm assuming that's
so the Wild are +105 against the Devils. The Red Wings are only -105 against the Sabres, who are -113.
So the Red Wings play tomorrow. I don't know if teams on back-to-back, we've always, it ends up coming out 50-50. Like there's really no trends to go with back-to-backs if it's first half, second half of back-to-back in terms of the betting market. But I'd give you the Devils. I'd give you maybe they're on upset alert just because Minnesota does have they have a really good offense. Matt Boldy, Kirill Kaprizov. Marco Rossi's coming back. He missed the game against the Rangers. He's coming back to center that top line. They're strong. Philip Gustafsson is their goaltender, and he's a goaltender that I think you either like him or you don't like him, and it's polar opposites. I tend to think he's very good. But he's gonna have his hands full against the New Jersey offense is really strong. My only pick for that would be that New Jersey is a little bit tired after playing last night in Toronto.
I know that it's so early into the season. It's really fun though to take a look at these like Calder Trophy odds, MVPs, players that we might have been sleeping on, maybe players that haven't surprised us, but could have a little value if you think the line might move so much in their favor, like SGA last year at like -20,000 in the NBA. Who are some players that you would maybe say are willing to put some money on for the Calder Trophy?
Well, I mentioned him last week, and I just think the odds are going to get shorter and shorter. Matthew Schaefer is elevated to the favorite as for Rookie of the Year to win the Calder Trophy. He's the fastest defenseman in the league, and he's only 18 years old, which is remarkable. I never would have thought that the fastest defenseman in the league would not be Cale Makar or Quinn Hughes, and it's an 18-year-old kid who was just drafted last year who's taken over that spot. He creates so much offense with his speed. 6 games into his career, he has a point in every game, which is still remarkable. Last night he became the youngest defenseman to score a game-winning goal. He was the youngest defenseman with a multi-point game last night too. Some incredible stats on Schaefer. For an Islander team that the expectations are pretty low for the Islanders, Schaefer's clearly their best player, which could be a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. But his usage rate is another reason why I love him to possibly rack up a lot of points to win the Calder. He's on the ice for at least 25 minutes a night. He's been over 26 minutes in 2 of his 6 games already. I really like that usage rate. He's going to get a lot of points. He's already anchoring the power play as well. So Matthew Schaefer is a name I really look for to win Rookie of the Year.
How about someone that's a little more underrated that we might not have our eyes on yet?
So I'll give you one name, and he's at 9-1 right now, or at least when I checked this morning, and that's Jimmy Snuggerud from the St. Louis Blues. Snuggerud came from the University of Minnesota, and he actually joined the Blues at the end of last year for their playoff run. Only scored once in the regular season in the playoffs, but he's got an NHL shot for a St. Louis Blues team that doesn't score a lot, but they have a very good power play. They generate a lot of offense off the rush and off the cycle. And Snuggerud plays on that top line with Robert Thomas, who's a very good playmaker. I could see Snuggerud getting a lot of goals, and voters like goals. And Snuggerud at 9-1 could be a value pick for Rookie of the Year.
Ooh, okay. I like it. We love any kind of long shot to sit on because I hate sitting on the favorites. Like I just don't enjoy sitting on a +115 when I could go bet an underdog or something that gives me a +115 payout. I understand the math behind it. I like to sit on something longer if I feel that there is a good chance. But anything tomorrow, I know that tomorrow is definitely a bigger slate in the NHL. And I know it's hard to say things a day in advance, but anything stand out to you about tomorrow's slate that people could keep an eye on?
Well, I'll give you one for this weekend because I was just looking at it. But Pavel Dorofeyev is a name that not a lot of people know, but he's 31 to win the Rocket. So I really like that as a long shot for a long-term play. And Dorofeyev's goal prop is usually, there's a lot of juice on that because not a lot of people know his name. He plays with Jack Eichel and Mitch Marner, and he's really good on the power play. Alex Ovechkin, I don't want to make a comparison between Dorofeyev and the greatest goal scorer that's ever lived, but Ovechkin used to score goals in that left circle of the offensive zone, and used to just rip one-timers, whether it's on the power play or at even strength. He would take a pass from a line mate and just be at such an angle and so much ferocity in that shot. He would score a ton of goals. Dorofeyev is showing similar signs. And if you go to edge.nhl.com, we just recently wrote an article about how he's doing this. He's a left-handed shot and Ovechkin's a right-handed shot. So he's going to the opposite circle and taking one-timers and scoring goals. And he's got 7 already this year. And since the calendar flipped to 2025, Dorofeyev is second in the NHL in goals behind Leon Draisaitl of the Edmonton Oilers. It's a name that I don't think a lot of people know, but you should get to know Pavel Dorofeyev. He's got a fun name to say too. He plays out in Vegas. So that's a player that I have my eye
on. You mentioned the articles on NHL.com. So what else can people and where else can people go to find your work and the work that you guys do over there?
Well, you can follow us on socials at NHL Fantasy. Edge.nhl.com is where a lot of our advanced metrics that populate our picks we make picks every day at nhl.com/fantasy. We got your picks and props every day. And a lot of that background of how we populate that comes from Edge, NHL Edge and NHL Fantasy Stats. And we just redesigned the website. So edge.nhl.com is a great place to go. You can find who had the hardest shot from last night and who was the fastest skater that played in the game last night. A lot of great nuggets that you could look up if fans are interested.
I love it. Wait, Mark has a question. Avalanche Habs Stanley Cup?
The Avs were my pick at the start of the year, and they were one of the favorites, so that shouldn't really surprise anybody. I'll say this about the Avalanche. That hypothetical Stanley Cup matchup would put 2 of my favorite forward lines one against each other. I had mentioned the Caulfield, Suzuki, and Slafkovsky line. Probably the best line in hockey right now is Nathan McKinnon, Martin Necas, and Arturi Lehkonen, that top line for the Colorado Avalanche. They have so much speed and they carry the puck into the offensive zone. If any young hockey player who grew up has probably been told by a coach, hey, dump and chase, get the puck deep and go after it. That's not the NHL anymore. And these guys are puck carriers. They love to carry the puck into the zone and they create so much offense from that. So that would be an exciting matchup if that were to happen.
Mike D asked about Bedard. He has him in a keeper league. Do you think Bedard will be legit in year 1 or 2?
I want to see more from Bedard. I would not get rid of him. I would keep him. I'm still a hold on Bedard. My issue, I have 2 huge issues with Bedard. One, I don't think Chicago has done a lot to put around him in terms of supporting cast. I wish they had gone into free agency last year and maybe given Mitch Marner a lot of money, but they didn't. I think they have a lot of young players and a lot of youth, which is a reason to want to keep Bedard. I'll say this too. He's faster. If we're looking at his underlying metrics, he's faster this year than he was last year, and that's a great trend. We love when young players are speedy, but he needs some help. He's a player who he's trying to create by himself right now, and hockey's an ultimate team sport. You need line mates, you need good exposure. So look, he's going to be asked to do a lot. He's going to rack up some numbers, but for him to actually be a stellar player and to exceed those expectations, I think he's going to need a supporting cast around him, which he doesn't have right now.
And that's why I have the supporting cast around me, because I don't know any of this. So I'm really glad to have Troy Perlowitz on the show every week to help you guys with all of your hockey insights, because there's nobody better and no one that's more of an encyclopedia for this sport than Troy Perlowitz. Make sure to catch him over at Troy_Perl, Perl on X. Troy, thank you so much as always for coming on. We appreciate you and good luck tonight.
Enjoy it every time. I hope to be on again.
Obviously. See you soon. Coming on now, because I have a bone to pick with this guy. He roots for a team that's really pissing me off today. The injury report for the New York Knicks is really freaking annoying. I have been going back and forth about the trees with the Cavs or the Knicks. Am I betting OG Anunoby tonight? Like, we don't know, but now we know because Kat says he's going to play. He went from questionable to doubtful to questionable. But you know who's never questionable? It's our next guest. He comes on, and he was on early. I'll give it to him. 5:30. He was here. Coach James Young joining the show. What is going on with your New York freaking Knicks?
Timeout. I was not on time. I was early.
You were like 5:29. You were 5:29.
Okay, 5:20.
You were early. You hit the under today.
I am here. It is opening night, and I know they're driving us crazy, but you know I gotta rep the orange and blue tonight, baby. How are you?
I'm great. I'm interested to see how good this Knicks team is going to look this year because we always get so excited the last few years and they always break our hearts. So how confident are you getting the Cavs at the Garden tonight?
I mean, I don't like the fact that these guys are banged up. I mean, right off the bat, Mitchell Robinson, they say they're holding him out for
shocker
rest management. Like, the fuck? It's the first fucking game and he ain't playing? Now, Josh Hart, we saw he went down to Abu Dhabi, and obviously, he'll get back. The Cat thing is a little bit of concern because of the quad, so you got to see. Look for them. I was trying to find them, guys. If you find them, look for Ariel Huck-Porty. Look for his props out there. If you can find them, put it in the chat because I think he could be someone that could be getting that rebound market because he's got to keep people like Jarrett Allen off the board. So look at Ariel Huck-Porty, see if there's anything you can find. But got to remember, folks, Cleveland's down guys too. Max Strus is out. Darius Garland is out. We'll see what's going on with DeAndre Hunter if he gives it a go. So both teams are not.
But the Knicks are catching points. They're catching 1.5 at home.
Well, that's because of the fact that listen. The reason is this, and remember, it moved to 3.5 when he got downgraded to doubtful. So it's worked its way back, right? Here's why. In that series 2 years ago, when the Knicks won 4-1, Mitchell Robinson fucked up Mobley and Allen. Like, he fucked them up. He man-balled them. So I think that when you talk about the Knicks, you could talk about the greatness of Brunson. You could talk about Cat. You could talk about Mikal and OG and Deuce and what they're getting off the bench with Hart and Clarkson and Yabusele and Ponce Shaman. The key as to what happens to New York is Mitchell Robinson. If he is healthy, and that is a huge if.
Massive if.
Massive if. Massive if. I think the Knicks are, in my humble opinion, I think they're the best team in the Eastern Conference. I really do. I think you're going to see a little bit of different style of New York. You'll see them push the ball up the floor. So look at overs early in the year. They'll get the balls to the corners. So look for them to kind of get the ball in space and attack early. A guy I look to make a good jump, be a little bit more consistent, is Mikal Bridges. Mm-hmm. If you read between the lines of what he said, if there was a guy that did not like Tibbs, it's Mikal. And he kind of talked about the culture and the environment and what's going on. I think Mikal is the guy to watch for New York offensively. Should be better, particularly in the corner three. Bench is going to be better, obviously, with Clarkson. Yabusele, who's like him and Zion switch roles. He put on weight. Zion lost weight. I don't know what the fuck's going on with him. But the Knicks are going to be very good. And Cleveland, I can't get behind them because I need to see them in a big spot. I don't like the Garland backcourt of Donovan Mitchell. Didn't put it on today, but look at possibly rebounds plus assists for Lonzo Ball. If Lonzo could be Lonzo before he got hurt, that's a huge pickup for Cleveland. And if that happens, watch them trade Darius Garland by the trade deadline.
With the Knicks getting a new head coach in Mike Brown, how are the Knicks going to look different, and how should we handicap them differently from last year's numbers?
Look for overs. Look for overs and three-pointers made and attempted. They're going to shoot the ball a lot more from three. It's just the way.
But isn't he a lot more of a defensively focused coach?
No, he's an offensive coach. Well, he was known defensively, Ariel, but then he went to Sacramento after leaving Golden State, and he ran that split screen action, and they were dynamic offensively. But if you line up Sacramento's teams he had versus the Knicks team, ready? Brunson over De'Aaron Fox, right? I would agree with that, right? Mikal Bridges over Kevin Huerter, right? DeMar DeRozan or whoever, or Harrison Barnes, I'm taking OG over him. Cat over Keegan Murray. The only one you get over him is Domantas Sabonis over Mitch, but then you have more of a bench. If the Knicks can get this offense right, and it's going to be an adjustment, that's why they may come out the blocks a little bit slow offensively. Once they get going and figure this shit out, they're going to be explosive offensively.
I feel like no one's talking about the Orlando Magic. Why?
I think they're the second best team in the East. I think they're the second best team in the East. See, you got to look at a couple things for Orlando, Ariel. Number one, they got just destroyed by injuries. Wagner missed a ton of time. Banchero missed a ton of time. Suggs was out for the year with the ACL tear, right? Wendell Carter misses time. So, number one, can they stay healthy? That's the big if, right? Number two is they were the worst three-point shooting team, like percentage-wise. So KCP didn't work. So what did you go and get? One of the best pure shooters in Desmond Bane. They defend at a really, really, really high level. I really feel like Orlando is honestly the second best team in the Eastern Conference.
Let's talk about tonight, Coach, where tonight we've got your card.
Yeah, I don't know who Nick Suzuki is. Who's that?
Hockey.
I was going to say baseball, but I'm like, that's Kurt Suzuki, and I don't think his team make the World Series. How about your boy? By the way, before we start, take that down for a second. We got to talk about the fucking Jets. Oh my God, this fucking team does it to me tonight. This coach, who I think is going to be a good coach in the league, had the nerve to have a press conference today and say, we know who's starting Sunday. We just want to keep a competitive advantage. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, they are an abomination. Besides the Pittsburgh Steelers game, which I went and I had to be inebriated because if I remember, the Jets actually looked really good offensively. They suck on offense. I mean, listen, you can take any of these guys in the chat, give them the Madden playbook, and they would do a better job of calling plays. I'll tell you this one thing for sure: they know when to hit X hard, and they know when to hit X a little bit of a floater of a pass. Because Justin Fields can't hit the screen in front of me, and it's about 3 feet in front of me. So I can't. Ariel, it's a fucking Wednesday. The Knicks are on tonight, and Aaron Glenn literally ruined my day. But I'm going to tell you this, Aaron, I think you're going to be okay. Justin Fields, you backed up Russell Wilson, who got benched for Jackson Dart. So we shouldn't have signed you in the first place. But Mogi, whatever the hell you is, the GM, I'll give you a pass. Listen, Woody Johnson, hello, Woody. I have one or two requests. I'm not political. President Trump, can you send him back to become the ambassador in the United Kingdom? Because that's the only, I mean, we were like a fucking joke, but we weren't like a bad of a joke when you were over there in the UK, like having a tea and crumpets in the UK. So, Trump, send him back, please. I beg of you. If you can't do that, okay?
You guys are only 6.5-point dogs this week.
Yeah.
Could be worse.
Yeah. Okay, listen. I'm a Jet fan. You're 6.5-point underdogs. Fuck it. Who do they play this weekend? Who they play?
Bengals.
Fuck. Joe Flacco go fuck them up. Lay the points.
And it's kind of a revenge game.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield's having it. He's having it. The Jets are so fucking bad, Ariel. They're so bad. And here's the crazy thing. They're going to do the same shit they did years ago when they were 0-14 and it was fucking, was it Flacco? I think it was Flacco that won 2 games and Jacksonville jumped them and they got Trevor Lawrence and we ended up with Zach Wilson. And that's the other thing. If Woody is the owner, I'm sorry, folks, I'm going to get off my soapbox soon, but I got to get this shit off my chest because I don't know if they'll let me talk about this on Sports Screen. Do you honestly, Jet fans, trust this owner with the number 1 draft pick? I wouldn't trust this kid to guard a light pole, let alone be in charge of the franchise. So listen, Steve Cohen, Alex Cohen, y'all got about another $15 billion. Just buy the Jets. Just buy the Jets, scrap half that project, put a football stadium next to Citi Field, call it a day. Shit, I'll take the drive and deal with the traffic. Or, what's the other rich guy? Bezos. Jeff Bezos. I think he tried to buy the Commanders. Buy the Jets. I don't care. Whoever. Bloomberg. Buy the Jets. Ariel. Buy the Jets. Unk. Buy the Jets. J-Rod. Buy the Jets. JY. Buy the Jets. Someone buy the fucking Jets, please.
I'm going to play a game with you. And I don't like to curse on air. Sorry, Mom. But there's the game Fuck, Marry, Kill. If you had to choose Fuck, Marry, Kill. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
The Jets, the Browns, and the Chicago Sky.
Well, listen. As long as I'm not dealing with a massage parlor and Deshaun Watson, I'm fuck. Wait. Fuck, marry, kill. Fuck, marry, kill. Which one's the best one? Fuck is the best one.
Is it?
Is it? No.
You were being married. No, you're stuck with them forever.
No. I'm marrying the Browns. I'm marrying the Browns. I'll take the Browns. So who's the choice? The Sky, and what's the other two?
Your Jets.
No, and it's fuck, marry,
Kill.
Oh, fuck, I gotta think about that. No. That's shit. I'm fucking the Sky. I'm killing the Jets.
Is that gender?
If Woody Johnson is the owner, if Woody Johnson is not the owner, I'm flipping it.
Okay, so you're killing the Jets. That's how mad you are. You're killing the Jets.
They're so bad.
You know the worst part is that you guys are going to find a way to ruin getting the number 1 pick in the draft anyway.
Somehow. Yeah. All right, listen. I want to do this. I want you guys in the chat. You guys got 5 minutes. You got to give me a backup football team to root for. And that will be my backup team. I will actually come on 1 week in a throwback jersey of a player on that team.
Okay,
and your backup team.
So because everyone start writing in the chat who coach's new team should be.
The Jets season fucking ended as soon as they kicked the ball off to start the season.
Everyone write in the chat, and by the end of this segment, we'll go through the chat and see who coach's next team should be. We'll decide then. Let's get to some NBA props while we let that cook. John Collins, is this a revenge spot for you?
I like John Collins. I think John Collins is an underrated player, and the 12.5. Now, listen, it was last year he played with Utah. He hit this 95% of the time. But I think this is a spot where he's going to succeed. Remember how many points Norman Powell scored, and he left the team. I know they got Bradley Beal as well, but it's a sneaky good trade for a Clipper team that I think is going to win the Pacific Division. Give me over 12.5 points for John Collins tonight.
Hawks are also getting the Toronto Raptors. Dyson Daniels, interesting play here at over 3.5 assists. You've got Trae Young there on the floor for Atlanta. Why is Dyson Daniels going to pick up some assists?
Well, number one, he averaged 4.4 assists per game last year, Ariel. So he just has to do what he did last year, right? Number two, if you look at the team, they don't have a backup point guard. So there's going to be times that he will lead that second unit at times at the point. Also, there'll be times where they'll put him on the one side of the floor and put Trae on the other side of the floor, so you can't load up. It's kind of the way that, if you think about the way that at times they played Brunson and Luka together, where Brunson would bring the ball up the floor, and then you put Luka on the other side. Now you have a ball screen action. Daniels comes off, and he's got guys. And I think a Hawks team with Porzingis that can step by 2-3, but can be a lob threat. Jalen Johnson, corner three, and obviously Trae Young. I think this is a low-hanging fruit here at 3.5 assists for Dyson Daniels.
I like it. You can always find that on the opening nights in the NBA. We found it last night with Kevin Durant's rebounds. Jordan Poole on a new team as well. He went from Washington to now New Orleans. Over 2.5 3-pointers made is interesting. How come he's going to shoot from outside?
Before I say this, I got to look at the chat. Shout out to my guy, Craig. What's up? What's up, AOD? Craig is hilarious, but it's true. Like, F my life, fuck my life. Collins, Daniels, and Poole. You did not have that in your bingo card as coach's 3 props for tonight. But I'm going with Jordan Poole over 2.5 made threes. 68% hit rate last year. I think he's the second scoring option, maybe third with Trey Murphy the third. Memphis 21st last year in 3-pointers allowed per game, and I don't think they have a strong enough defender. Look at Jordan Poole over 2.5 made threes. Teams will load up as Zion tries to bully ball to the basket.
It's interesting that you're going to lay 5 with the Hornets tonight. They're going to tip off soon. 7 o'clock start against Brooklyn. They are in Charlotte. Total 228.5. I guess it's pretty telling that's how bad Brooklyn is. That
they're fucking terrible.
5.
They.
Well, the Hornets aren't great. I mean, they have a little bit of firepower.
Let me say, I understand this. I think the Hornets are going to be better than people think.
Why?
Okay.
Because of LaMelo?
Number 1, LaMelo if he's healthy. Number 2, I expect Brandon Miller to take another leap. I could see Brandon Miller being the best player in that team and scoring about 23 points a game. And I think Miles Bridges, remember last year he started off with suspension. I think he's sneaky good. I actually like this team. Colin Sexton off the bench. Knipple, the rookie. I think they're better than we're going to give them credit for. I wouldn't be surprised if they win this game by double digits tonight.
Wow, double digits. Okay. And you like a dog too, the Pelicans plus 4.5. That line I saw on FanDuel now even moved down to 4, so moving slightly in your favor. How come the Pelicans upset the Grizz in Memphis?
Ariel, you're like what? Like 30? You're like
31.
You're like a puppy. Okay. So there's a movie, right?
I'm bad at movie references, so it doesn't matter.
You remember the movie Scarface?
Yeah.
Fly Pelican. I'm taking the Pelicans plus the 4.5. Let me tell you something. Memphis swept the season series last year. Memphis is in trouble. They're Edie's out, Jaws out, Pippen Jr.'s out. And I look at the Pelicans. I think they're another team. I think they're better than people think. Look at their win total over 2, by the way, if you want to jump on it. I'm going to take them plus a 4.5. I would not be shocked if they won the game outright. Give me the Pelicans plus the points.
A team that Mark keeps telling us, I think, or is it Mark telling us we're sleeping? Maybe it was Sean Michael that said we're sleeping on them. But I know that AOD, big Detroit guy over here in the chat. And obviously don't forget that coach is his uncle. Detroit basketball. Detroit laying 2.5 in Chicago. You would think that with the talent on the Pistons, and again, you said -4, unless I wrote that wrong. Yeah, now that line's -2.5.
Then money line it. And
who's out? Someone must be out.
Ariel, I'm going to say this to you. I love you to death, kid. But if you're going to say it right, say it right. It's Detroit basketball. I'm taking the Pistons minus the points, or if you wanted to take them on the money line, that is fine. According to the last injury report, you have no Jaden Ivey, Karis LeVert probable, Marcus Sasser doubtful. That could be it. But on the flip side,
2-point move against them. This team's so
it's got to be something. It's got to be something new. No Kobe White tonight for Chicago. He's listed out at the 4:30 report. Remember, folks, at the NBA, at 30 past the hour, you go to NBA.com. You can pull up the injury report, and every team has a report every hour. So I also look at Detroit as, and I'm not saying this because AOD is my nephew, but I like this team. And I know that Stewart made a statement and said that if him and Jaden Ivey were healthy, they would have beat the Knicks. I don't know if I believe it, but it would have been fucking close. And it would have been interesting. And they were so good the second half of the year. The ascension of a Sword Thompson. Cade Cunningham, I believe, is a top 15 player in the league. You can look at Jalen Duren being a top 6 or 7 center in the league. I think the one thing you could say that's great about Bickerstaff is he's a great regular season coach. They get off to a good start. If it's 2.5, take the money line on the Pistons on the road.
Yeah, I like the Pistons. It seems a little too good to be true for me, but I've got some props for them as well. People in the chat talking about Giannis as well. Yanni the Greek is who I'm used to talking to on Waiter Talk. Giannis tonight, Milwaukee Bucks. Obviously that game looks like it could potentially get a little out of hand. They're laying 10 against the Washington Wizards. Thoughts on Giannis tonight?
Well, Giannis should go up to a big star. I know I see down here, I think J-Main 34 has Giannis over 19 rebounds plus assists. I think you're on double-double, maybe even triple-double alert. I think there's a lot of pressure on Giannis. And I think there's a lot of pressure on Doc. They got to bring it this year because the earlier they start losing, the bigger it's going to be a problem. Giannis is going to put together a monster year because at the end of the day, I still think he wants out of Milwaukee. And to me, listen, Giannis is very smart at what he's doing. He doesn't like being the bad guy. So he doesn't go out and say, I want to trade. He just has Shams report it. Shams don't report shit unless he's got permission. That got to Shams somehow about New York. I still think at the end of the day, if the Knicks don't win a championship, I think that's where Giannis is going to land because he's going to force his way out of there. But Giannis tonight should be really good. A team like Washington's interesting, folks. I would not take their team total win under until they clear the guys out. Let them get off to a decent start. They got some talent. With Sarr, with Bud Carrington, what Blah Coulibaly, obviously some of the veterans like CJ McConnell. But they're gonna trade some of these guys at some point, especially the older guys towards the deadline. If you're taking team total, Washington Wizards, let them get off to a good start. Then when they have the dumpster fire, go ahead and jump on them to get under their win total.
Ooh, okay. I like it. Let's take a look at the chat now. Everyone gave their insights into who the next team should be that coach should be rooting for. Now I
saw the Bills. That ain't fucking happening. So you could throw that shit away.
You can't go for a division rival.
No.
Raiders? Why would he go from a losing team to a more losing team?
Well, no, first things first, shout out to my good friend Jason Horowitz. One of my really close friends, Jason Horowitz, is actually the radio guy for the Raiders. So and my buddy Anthony DePasquale, one of my really close friends that I work with, he's a big Raider guy. So
why don't you? Well, now you've got the Niners who have the injuries.
Nah,
You could just support my Ravens.
Yo, by the way, did you see that thing of Lamar Jackson high as fuck getting like the
yeah? But then Lamar tweeted that's like not. Lamar tweeted out that was silly.
Ariel. I mean, anything could be AI generated, but
I don't think it was AI. I just don't know if it's old.
Man, I'll tell you what, he looked like Smokey from Friday.
Okay, but so what? He can get high and be fine by Sunday.
Hey, man, Biggie
said
it best.
Silly.
Biggie said it best. Never get high on your own supply. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Honestly, maybe Lamar needs to be high.
I'll tell you what, watching the Ravens, you know what? That's a good idea. Maybe I should get high and watch the Jets this weekend.
That's a good idea. You could do like what Mad Dog does. Mad Dog Russo, he just pops some gummies and watches college football.
I mean, listen, Mad Dog's been around for a long time, so I may.
And then he throws some money, a lot of money, on stupid teams, and he does it while he's high.
I mean,
I say you root for my Ravens.
I'll put that under deep consideration. The problem is that my favorite college football team is University of Miami, and Lamar burned Miami to go to Louisville.
Yeah, but Ray Lewis.
Oh, yeah. So you know what? I'm going Ravens, Raiders.
Perfect. I'll take it.
I'm going to go get myself. Let's go with I'm going to get a Bo Jackson Raiders jersey because Bo Jackson is my favorite athlete growing up. And then I think for the Ravens, I think I'm going Ed Reed.
I love it. We need some interceptions. I'll take it.
Yeah, well,
there we go. Coach is now a Ravens and a Raiders fan. Congratulations. Your team, the Ravens, is favored. Your team is favored for the first time this year. Congratulations. I'm just kidding. The Jets might have actually been a short favorite in one of those games, and they still lose. So,
well, listen. Go Ravens. Go Raiders. Woody Johnson. Sell the fucking Jets.
We love you, Coach. We'll see you next week. Good luck tonight. Go Knicks.
Let's go Knicks. It's go time.
He's the best. I love it. And we got a new Ravens fan. Hopefully rooting for him. I mean, it can't get worse, so we can't jinx the team, I guess. We've got the most bet on props of the day, according to BetMGM. Let me also just tweet out prop queen edges of the day in the NBA on now. Most bet on props of the day, according to BetMGM, it is propaganda. Most bet on props of the day, according to BetMGM, Kristaps Porzingis over 17.5 points with his new team, the Atlanta Hawks. Derek White under 4.5 3-pointers made. Too much juice there at -160. Tyus Jones under 1.5 3-pointers made. Bryce Sensabaugh over 2.5 rebounds. And Miles Turner over 1.5 threes is -155. I feel like we could find a different prop for Miles Turner that's not over 1.5 3-pointers made. So let's take a look at some of the props that I like for tonight in the NBA. Starting with Emmanuel quickly to go over 15.5 points. He averaged just over 18 points a game against Atlanta last year, went over 15.5 points in 2 of 3. All those games were on the road in Atlanta. Quickly shot better on the road last year anyway. He averaged 3 more points a game on the road. The Hawks allowed the 4th most points per game last year. Trae Young, definitely not known for his defense. IQ should have success. Brandon Ingram, first game with his new team. He got traded last year, but was injured the entire time, so hasn't played with Toronto yet. I just found the over 3.5 assists interesting for Ingram. He averaged just over 5 assists per game when he played with New Orleans. I know there's more guards like IQ and RJ Barrett, so maybe they don't need him to run the offense like he did in New Orleans, but I just thought 3.5 was pretty low, and he might be a little rusty, so maybe he could dish the ball out a bit if he doesn't feel like he's got his shot down after missing so much time last year. But he did also, Ingram, go over 1.5 3-pointers made in 5 of 7 road games that he played last year. Of course, as a Pelican. The Hawks, they were bottom 10 in points and threes allowed. With Porzingis now in Atlanta, we can't really attack the centers, but the advantage goes to Ingram with no one in Atlanta big enough to really protect from the outside of Porzingis, and he's probably not going up against Brandon Ingram. So I would take the over 3.5 assists, or you could look at 1.5 made threes for Brandon Ingram. OG Anunoby, this is again everything with the Knicks. The Cat's apparently playing, so this one's out. This was only if Cat was not going to play, but just so you have future reference, OG Anunoby does very well without Cat. He went over 24.5 PRA in 6 of 9 games last year without him, averaging 27 PRA. So that's just something to keep in mind. So now that Cat is playing, let's look at the Cavaliers trees. So Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. The trees, they're always hard to handicap choosing between the two, so we could try. Mobley went under 8.5 rebounds in 2 of 3 games at MSG dating back to 2023. He had 8+, but not 8.5. So 8+ rebounds is the number for Mobley if you want to take a look for an SGP or something. Jared Allen, he went under 9.5 rebounds in 3 of 4 games without Mitchell Robinson. He averaged 8 rebounds in those games, but against the Knicks at Madison Square Garden, so those games without Mitchell Robinson were in Cleveland, but at Madison Square Garden the last couple of times, 15 and 13 rebounds for Jared Allen. So if I had to take an over, I'd probably take over on Jared Allen tonight and under on Evan Mobley, or like an 8+ if you do an alt, but I would probably steer more towards Jared Allen tonight in the Knicks Cavs game. More props. Jalen Duren. So I was looking at his points, maybe his assists, but I would say if you want to play Jalen Duren, it's either over points or over rebounds plus assists, because last night Dreamy gave out the over rebounds plus assists for Jalen Duren, and you can check out his segment on the YouTube page at Prop Queen Sports. So his points, Jalen Duren, he's hit this over in 6 of 7 games against the Bulls since the start of 2023, averaging 16 points a game. The Bulls allowed the 3rd most points per game last year, and centers had some of the most success against them. 57% of centers went over their points prop last year. The Bulls center, Nikola Vucevic, he's a great rebounder, but not really a good overall defender. So Jalen Duren over 13.5 points. The way to take advantage of no Kobe White tonight is looking at the under for Josh Giddey, under 20.5 points. With White on the floor, defenses, they have to respect that 3-point shot. It opens up lanes for Giddey and it helps them. But without White, the Bulls starting rotation is filled with a bunch of non-shooters. So the attention shifts to Giddey, and he has struggled under that pressure. He's also gone under 20.5 points in 5 of 6 games against Detroit since 2023. He's gone under it in all 7 games. All 7 games, Giddey's gone under 20.5 points without Kobe White. He did have 10+ rebounds in all those games. So take a look at his rebounds if you want to take an over. But Josh Giddey under points tonight without Kobe White. Santi Altima. For Memphis Grizzlies, Aldama, over 23.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He's averaging 15 without Zach Edey. His over 23.5 PRA cashed in 10 of 12 games without Edey last year, averaging 26 PRA. And averaged, like, with Edey on the floor, averaged about 21 PRA, but without him, averaged 26. So it's a big difference without Zach Edey tonight in Memphis for Altima. Then Jaren Jackson Jr. over his rebounds. Without Edey, he, let's see, against New Orleans, without Edey, Jackson went over 5.5 rebounds in 4 of 5 games. 2 of those 3 were at home. He averaged 6.5 rebounds a game without Edey, 5.5 overall with him. So he went up a rebound, Triple J. He went up a rebound per game in games without Edey. If he does take over the center role more, then it's worth noting 59% of centers went over their rebound prop against the Pelicans last year. And by the way, the Pelicans were bottom five, that bad in points, rebounds, assists allowed last season. More props. Chris Middleton, revenge game. He's in Washington now, and he's going back to Milwaukee to face the Bucks. Over 12.5 points you could look at. Don't sleep on the revenge spot. He averaged 14 points a game in Milwaukee his last 2 seasons there, and 19.5 points per game in that 2021-2022 season when in Milwaukee. Miles Turner, I was going back and forth, couldn't figure it out, points or rebounds. There's just no one in Washington that could guard Miles Turner. Alex Sarr is your center. He's young, inexperienced, not big enough to be able to handle a veteran like Turner. So we haven't seen the lineup with Turner and Giannis yet. So I have to see how those two look together and get some more numbers. But Miles Turner should have a good game tonight. Lauri Markkanen, this is a tough one, under 22.5 points plus assists. The Jazz are 9.5-point home dogs. So of course there's a fear of a blowout. And when the Jazz have lost by 10 points or more at home, Markkanen's gone under this in all 9 games. Since the start of 2023 against the Clippers, Markkanen went under in 3 of 4 games. Ivica Zubac is one of the league's most physical interior defenders. John Collins is a tough body to go up against. So Markkanen, it's going to be tough for him to attack downhill. So I would take the under for Markkanen. I love the Bradley Beal over 20.5 PRA. He had 31 points in his last game against Utah in November of last year. 2 of his 3 against Utah went over this number. In one of the matchups, Isaiah Collier was out like he is tonight. Beal put up 39 points in that game. And without Collier, the Jazz's backcourt, it's inexperienced and young. Overall, on the road last year, Beal went over 20.5 PRA in 71% of games, averaging 25 PRA. Shooting guards went over their PRA props in 61% of the props that they had against Utah last year, which is the most of any position. The Jazz were bottom 5 in points, assists, and threes allowed per game last year. So we're going Bradley Beal over 20.5 PRA. A fishy line alert, John Collins, over his PRA at 18.5. I know Coach likes John Collins tonight, but I find this number to be very fishy and low. He went over this in 95% of games in Utah last year. The Jazz also allow the most points per game to their opponents. So why is this number so low? I guess the matchup against the Jazz, the front court, it could be tough. It looks like shooting guards have more success than power forwards and centers when facing Utah. So I'll probably stay away from this revenge spot, but I just think that this number is very fishy. 18.5 PRA is just very low. Lastly, Klay Thompson over 2.5 3-pointers made. You're getting a good buy low spot because it's opening night. But Klay's gone over this in 3 of 4 home games against the Spurs dating back to 2023. Last year, he averaged just under 4 threes a game at home, with Klay leading the Mavs in 3-pointers made, 3-pointers attempted against the Spurs defense that allows the 4th most threes per game last year. It's a great matchup. So we're going to take the over 2.5 because he's going to be up to 3.5 at some point in the next few weeks. An underrated 3-point shot, Ryan Dunn. Over 1.5 3-pointers made is at even money. He made 2 3-pointers in 3 of 4 games last year against the Kings. He started to heat up towards the end of last year, making 2+ threes in 9 of his last 10 home games. When Phoenix is home against last year's 3rd worst perimeter defense, plus Jalen Green is out, I like Dunn to put up some shots from outside. We'll take over 1.5 3-pointers made at even money. Clay showing off for his girlfriend tonight. That's funny. What? Versus AJ Green? Let me take a look. AJ Green, the second stringer. I have to look at that. I didn't look at that. But the Wizards are very bad against the 3. But I'd have to look at the AJ Green prop. We could look at it on props.cash. It's already 6:10. I'm hungry and want dinner, but I'll take a look at it. Let's go to props.cash real quick. NBA. And remember, guys, you can subscribe to props.cash using promo code PropQueen. Get all this information, 50% off your first month, which makes it $9. So subscribe using promo code PropQueen, and you'll be able to see all this info on props.cash. So we could go to 3-pointers, and we could go to AJ Green. And that game tonight is home. So you could look at his home 2024. Let's look at the last 10 home games. Wasn't as great at home. On the road, he did a little bit better, actually. 2.5's kind of high, too. Head-to-head against Washington. Numbers aren't fully there for me, so I don't love it. But I understand the thought process, but I don't love it based on the numbers. And at home, it clearly doesn't look like he took as many shots. So I would steer clear of that. I'm trying to see. If you guys want to look at some, we could look at some Cooper Flag props for tonight real quick. This will be the last thing we do. Cooper Flag. Props.cash says Cooper Flag over points is its favorite. Obviously, we don't. Oh, well, that's a problem. The problem is that we don't have, obviously, old numbers. But if we want to get, let's see, small forward, 63% of the last 10 games went over against season, 46%. I don't know, guys. It's hard. I'm not going to be betting. I'm not betting a, I'm not going to be betting a rookie. And I found out that there's a typo in my newsletter. Someone just texted me, so now I'm distracted. Thank you for that. Kings at Jazz, which should say Spurs and Mavs. Thank you. Spurs at Mavs. Oh, and now it already went out. So now I just have to update the web. You guys don't care. I just had a typo. That's on me. Anyway, games are about to start in an hour. Good luck to all your bets tonight. Thank you for our guests, Troy Perlowitz, for tuning in for NHL.com, giving us the NHL insights. Coach James Young, he was hilarious, and he talked not only about his Jets, but we did get some NBA picks in there. And if you missed anything, you could go to the YouTube page at Prop Queen Sports. All of our clips are going to be clipped and posted so that you could get all the insights, and all the segments are posted as well. Trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're getting close. We're getting close. So go subscribe and like the Prop Queen Sports YouTube page. And I'm also, not just because I'm in a sweatshirt, I'm wearing my Prop Queen hoodie, which you could get at thepropqueen.com. Prop Queen hoodies at thepropqueen.com. And my mom also has some goodies to give out. So again, if you do choose to subscribe to props.cash using promo code PropQueen, I get the list at the end of every month of who subscribes for the month, and you get 50% off that first month at props.cash. And you also will get a free Prop Queen merch. So definitely sign up. Use it. It's awesome in the NBA. If you heard earlier in the week, Jared Block talked about how amazing it's been to use it for the NBA. So definitely check it out. And if you do sign up, you get 50% off the first month and some free Prop Queen merch. So look at props.cash and subscribe using promo code PropQueen. You have to use promo code PropQueen. See you guys tomorrow here on the show, 5 p.m. Eastern time on the Prop Queen Pod. Good luck.